I need a Mi fan? What makes a great phone? And I get a lot of different answers. I get people saying I want great battery life, I want a really fast device, I like design, I want a high resolution display. So many different answers to the same question. But invariably, the one question that I always, or the one answer that I always get is I want a great experience. And that's why we're here to announce our next flagship product, because you guys know, right, Don? Xiaomi is all about the great experience. So, very, very proud to announce Mi 4i.
所以今天想宣布一个新的手机，就是小米4i。
So I'll take a few minutes with Donovan to walk through some of the most important reasons why we think this is such a beautiful device. And we're going to start with design. On the design side, we wanted to boil down the design of a mobile phone to the simplest possible form with Mi 4i.
所以我们设计小米4i 的时候，我们主要的目的就是想把它弄得更简单、最简单的一个设计。所以可能主要这里想强调的就是，我们用了一个一体式的一个后盖，然后从前面后面都是一块，就是我们觉得就是一个非常完美、非常简单、非常强的一个设计。
It's also nice. And here is the white version, which looks just as gorgeous.
然后当然不只是黑色，也有一个白色的一个版本。
I especially like the contrast between the black and the white unibody.
特别是这个照片，就是能看到那个白色跟黑色的对比。哎呀，超棒的，就是 Hugo 都不知道应该说什么。
There's MIUI. And it comes in great, beautiful colors as well.
当然还有别的颜色，多彩颜色。
More color. How big is Mi 4i? Or more importantly, how small is Mi 4i? We've designed it as an ultra-compact flagship device, and it actually looks really, really compact, especially when you put it next to some of these really big devices that are common today.
我们这里主要想强调的就是，我们故意把米4i做了一个超窄的一个机型，然后特别是如果你看别的竞争对手，其实现在的手机越来越大了，我们是故意做了一个5寸屏的一个小米4i。然后如果直接跟 iPhone 6对比的话，我们的屏幕比 iPhone 6大10%，然后我们的屏占比它大7%，意思就是我们前面用的比较多空间，屏幕会更大，虽然体积差不多是一样的。
And it's very, very slim. Mi 4i is 12% thinner and 13% lighter than Mi 4. It's also about the same weight, about 130 grams as the iPhone 6. So it's very, very light. And it looks that way. Look how beautiful it is when we're actually holding it, isn't it?
所以这里主要想强调的就是我们后盖也放了一个防油污的一个材料，所以不只是非常舒服，就是你碰的时候，可是其实也可以，比如说你拿一个笔，然后在后面写，其实这个很容易就可以擦掉了。所以我们后面这个后盖是放了一个特别的材料。
I guess you've already explained this one. Boom. So we like to say that it's designed for your hand. Unibody design, ultra compact body with a 5-inch display. It's very slim at only 7.8 millimeters. It's very thin and light at 130 grams. And this soft touch anti-grease coating in the back, which feels great. So now let's talk about battery. The really big challenge behind the design of Mi 4i is that we wanted to build an ultra-compact device, but at the same time, we wanted to ship it with a very, very large battery. That was a really big challenge.
所以我们设计背后的挑战是什么？这里也想强调一下，就是我们刚刚看到那个设计其实非常薄、非常窄、非常小，可是我们同时也想放一个非常大容量的一个电池。其实我们想放的电池是比我们别的旗舰机型更大，包括我们的小米 Note 跟小米4。
And we actually managed to achieve 3,120 milliamp hours, which is a very large battery for a device that's so thin and that's so light. 38% larger battery capacity than any of the other premium 5-inch devices that you might find out there in a much, much smaller and thinner body. And you know that battery technology is one of the world's hardest problems. You're probably familiar with Moore's law, which says that processors double in capacity every 18 months. That's semiconductor technology. But the world of batteries is very different. It's chemistry. So how did we do this? How did we get around this constraint? We did it by using cutting-edge battery technology. We've been working with our suppliers for 18 months to bring this to market. And we're using a new battery platform that gives 4.4 volts of maximum charging voltage. And it has the highest battery energy density of any technology in the market today. It's a platform that's called 700 watt-hour per liter. This is the most advanced and also the most expensive battery technology in the market today. And MISUI is in fact only the second device in the world to ship with this new kind of battery technology. So we've managed to ship a battery on a 5-inch device that's only 130 grams, that's 70% larger than the iPhone 6 battery, which is a tremendous engineering achievement. Thanks to our engineers working very closely with the leading battery suppliers in the world, including Sony and Samsung, which are our partners here. So we're very thankful to them. And I could talk to you about theoretical lab values, but I don't live in a lab. Do you live in a lab?
Yes.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
And so I'm not going to talk about video playback time, none of these things, because I don't live in a lab.
所以 Hugo 这里主要想说的就是，第一个，我们是用全世界最顶级的一些供应商，包括索尼和三星，我们刚看到 Sony、Samsung。然后其实我们也不住在就是公司嘛，所以我们出去使用这个电池到底能用多久呢
？Using it regularly. This is a combination of 3,120 milliamp hours and power saving optimizations that we have made to the software as well. MISUI supports quick charge, which means you can charge your battery to 40% in less than 1 hour and to 100% in less than 3 hours. Now, let's talk about display. First off, MISUI ships with a 1080p 1920 by 1080 display. We obviously wouldn't ship with anything less than a 1080p display. 441 ppi, which is very, very high resolution. Now, Don, you should not believe when somebody tells you that you cannot see, that the human eye cannot see beyond 300 ppi, as some people say, because it can. And in fact, MISUI has a much higher PPI than both iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus, if you know what I'm saying.
当然，他后来还是讲了名字。
Okay, we're also shipping. So we're shipping our display sourcing from Sharp and JDI. It's a 178 wide-angle IPS display, 441 PPI.
这里可能主要想强调的就是这个屏幕，其实也是从世界最顶级的供应商，就是Sharp 跟 JDI 拿的屏幕。哦，好 ，development， all right， 我们可以回去那个 iPhone 6那个嘛。所以 iPhone 6其实是一个72%的 NTSC， 意思就是，我们刚刚看到那个三角形的那个 NTSC 72%，意思就是 iPhone 6能显示的颜色就是这个三角形里面的颜色。所以，比如说，如果我想看到这个最红的这里 ，iPhone 6只能显示到这个红，所以没有这么红嘛。那我们的MISUI的 NTSC 95%的意思就是我们的那个三角形会更大，所以我们的红会更红，绿会更绿，蓝会更蓝。好，我们可以看一下下一个页吧。对，这里想强调的是，这不只是在调那个饱和度，这其实就是那个红的显示的那个红色，其实是比较正确的。
And greener greens, and of course bluer blues, just a wider range of colors. And if you're actually to compare Meizu i with iPhone 6 side by side, the interesting irony is that this is not an NTSC 95% display, but if you were to look at this on my laptop screen, you would see a big difference.
然后这里就可以直接对比米4i 跟 iPhone 6。当然，现在的问题就是我们这个投影机其实不是一个 NTSC 95%的投影机，所以你可能看不到那个分别。可是如果我们直接在虎哥的那个电脑上看的话，其实那个区别会比较明显。所以我们谈一下我们那个玻璃吧，就是一个 OGS 全贴合的一个荧幕。我们跟那个康宁就是做那个大猩猩玻璃的公司，他们为了我们做了一个特色的一个玻璃。
Fully laminated display is a better technology for your glass because it basically merges, as you can see here, the glass and the touch panel into a single piece, and then there's no air gap between the glass and the actual panel, which means that the pixels are much closer to the surface. It feels much better.
所以这里主要想强调的就是，我们这个玻璃有什么特色呢？那如果你看一个普通的一个屏幕，就是在左边，就是非 OGS 技术。通常有4层，最上面是一个玻璃或者一个 touchscreen， 在一个空间，在屏幕，所以我们 OGS 全贴合就是把这些全部变成一片。
Every manufacturing batch, not with every phone that we make, but with every manufacturing batch. The other advantage of the fully laminated display is that it's the blackest black, so it looks beautiful and it's completely in line with the design.
当然，另外一个好处就是。如果你看这个屏幕为什么这么薄？这么薄的效果就是黑会更黑。所以我们再提另外一个情况，就是你把你手机带出去强光下的时候，其实很多细节都看不清楚了。比如说这个白色太白了，都看不到那个白色的细节。旁边那些树的绿色变得更黑了，然后那个细节也看不清楚。这可能是正常光底下，所以如果可以直接对比的话。好，比如说左边就是正常光，然后右边就是强光下。这里我们放大了一些部分嘛，比如说这里这个白色是完全白了，完全看不到那个细节。左边那个黑色绿色也变得完全黑色，也看不清楚了。所以我们今天做了想介绍一个新的技术，就叫阳光屏。阳光屏到底是什么呢？那我们回到刚刚那个照片，这就是强光下的时候。所以我们阳光屏是这样，阳光屏是每一个像素级我们都会调整。比如说我们想看那个高光的时候，这就是高光那个 highlight， 就是比较白的部分。这个白的部分我们可以每一个调整那个白的部分，别的就留在没变。然后中间这个部分就是 midtone 这个部分，其实这个保留就行了，因为这个已经够好了。然后最后就是最暗的这个部分。这个也可以把它弄得比较好，所以我们不只是把全屏幕把它弄得比较亮，是每一部分会一个一个像素都调整。这就是我们的阳光屏的技术，这里可以直接对比。没有阳光屏在左边，然后右边有阳光。你把强光放在那个屏幕上面的时候，屏幕就会变嘛。然后 Hugo 主要想讲的一个故事，就是我们刚刚最后看到那个就是那个输入法键盘的时候。键盘也能变颜色，不只是照片。
All right, so that's sunlight display. And to sum up, the beautiful display of Meizu i, 5-inch Full HD from Sharp and JDI, 1080p display, 441 pixels per inch, IPS 178 degrees, NTSC 95%, fully laminated OGS. Featuring sunlight display technology. It's a beautiful, beautiful display, and we'll talk more about it later today. So that's display. Now I'd like to talk a bit about the camera. So first of all, Xiaomi has a huge foundation in camera technology. Every single one of the phones that we've shipped, from the very first one, has had a great camera. Mi R, Mi Sun, and kind of scary. This is beautiful. 米色。
所以 Hugo 会讲中文的时候，我可能就可以下台了。
Okay. And what we do in our devices is we combine great hardware. Previous slide, please. We combine great hardware with great software, the best hardware that we can find with software that's built in-house, because after all, we are a software company and we are really well positioned to build great photography hardware. We have computational photography experts in the team that are writing some amazing software.
所以小米对拍照的方式是什么呢？是很简单，其实我们就会拿最顶级的硬件，然后再包括我们自己做的一些软件技术。因为其实小米不只是一个硬件公司，也是一个软件公司，也是一个互联网服务的一个公司。所以我们觉得我们同时这3个方向都能同时做，所以我们是这样把我们的相机、我们的拍照的功能更优化。先强调一下，就是我们这个相机其实是用了专利，就是我们小米 Note 的专利，所以你可以看到这里这个相机是完全平的，没有凸出来的部分。
We use the best optics and electronics components. We're sourcing the rear camera from Sony and Samsung. It's a 13 megapixel sensor, second generation stacked CMOS, with a 5-element lens that's capable of f2.0 aperture, which lets in a lot of light. Two-tone flash, which Donovan will explain to you.
所以我们想解释这个技术，就是双色温闪光灯。意思就是，比如说你看到最上面这里是一个完全白色的一个灯，然后下面是一个完全黄色的一个灯。所以我们这个闪光灯的好处就是能看你环境的那个亮度，然后能比如说就知道我应该放一个比较黄的一个灯，还是一个比较白的灯，还是同时50%。所以这是 Hugo 跟一些模特儿嘛。然后这里就是你能看到这个算是一个比较温的环境，因为你能看到蜡烛。所以这算是一个比较温的环境，所以我们这个闪光灯就会稍微温一点，比较黄一点。
The front camera is a 5 megapixel front-facing camera with also a 5-element lens, but an even better aperture of f1.8, and it's capable of 80 degrees, so you can actually get more people into your selfies, if you will. Next thing I want to talk about is smart camera software. So this is an area that I've mentioned before we are really investing a lot into, and I want to show you just a couple of features. And this is something that we've been working on for some time, but we've really made some great improvements recently to it. And I'm going to ask Donovan to explain how this works.
先提一下那个智慧美颜吧。智慧美颜是一个小米很特色的一个功能。可能你看到别人自拍的照片的时候，可能马上就知道哪一个是从小米手机拍的。为什么？因为我们会自动美颜嘛。比如说我们这里会分10组，第一个是年龄，看年龄分；第二个是看你是不是男生还是女生。经常有一些规矩，比如说如果你是一个比较年轻的一个女生，我们可能会美颜，可能的优化会稍微多一点，因为这是我用户给我们的要求，就是想可能比较年轻的女生可能会喜欢比较多的美颜嘛。那如果你是一个比较年龄比较大的一个人，可能美颜会稍微少一点。那当然你看到 Hugo 这里也把他自己放在那个18到30岁的这个组，这个应该不是真的年龄，可是也反正 Hugo 喜欢这个年龄所以这就是我们的智慧美颜的这个功能。我们北京公司的一个同事叫 Athena 也是非常漂亮嘛，没有美颜就已经很漂亮了，可是有美颜可能会更漂亮一点。当然这也是虎哥嘛，虎哥也喜欢用美颜，可能从左边跟右边对比的时候，可能差别不会太大，但是还是稍微好一点。Hugh 的意思是我们两个都喜欢拍照，可是我可能是比他喜欢拍照。反正这个功能就是导数设计。时间我们可以去下一集。这个可能不需要解释了，反正意思就是你可以说，比如说3秒还是5秒，然后你要开始拍照的时候就能等，所以你可以把你的手弄得更长，放得比较更稳定，然后你可以看上面那儿，所以其实很多人拍照的时候可能看错地方了，所以他们后来拍照的时候可能没有在看相机，在看别的部分，所以我们刚刚那个导数就会放在那个相机旁边，就左边那儿。所以这里主要想强调的就是 HDR 的这个功能，我们刚刚就看了超屌的这个 HDR 功能。Hugh 跟我经常就会说，小米手机的 HDR 功能应该是比别的竞争对手都好，我们都会这样说。HDR 是怎么做的呢？我们就是会同时拍很多曝光度的一些照片，然后再联合一起来。然后为什么我们的 HDR 会这么好呢？因为我 我们再加了一些优化，比如说我们看到这3个功能。
And we've recently just added a few new technologies, a few new techniques and algorithms, many of which came from the field of computational photography to our HDR algorithms, such as gamma and contrast tuning, contrast and color correction, low light denoising, basically techniques that will just make your photos look much better. This goes well beyond HDR. It's just a way to try to make what you are seeing to appear beautifully in a photo. So here are some examples taken with this HDR camera. And this is a great photo because it shows a tremendous amount of texture. If you look anywhere near the steps here in the wall, you can see a lot of very fine texture, which is only possible because of all the contrast adjustments that are being made to the photo by our computational photography algorithms that are part of HDR.
所以其实
this was a photo taken by Taiwan Mi Fan just a few weeks back, also with Mi 4i. Another beautiful photo with a lot of texture, taken with Mi 4i as well. In the beautiful cat photo, where again a lot of the texture just wouldn't come out unless you were really bringing it out with some post-production, with some post-processing, which is what HDR does. Sum up. The Mi 4i camera, Sony Samsung 13 megapixel sensor, 5-element lens, f2.0 aperture with 2-tone flash, a 5 megapixel front camera with f1.8 aperture, 80-degree wide angle, and then amazing software features including Beautify and our new HDR functionality, which I would love for you to check out. Now let's talk about performance. So Mi 4i ships with Snapdragon 615, but it's actually the 2nd generation chipset from the 615 family, which just came out. It's a 64-bit architecture. And in fact, I would love for Don to explain how this 8-core 64-bit processor from Qualcomm works.
所以我们第一个这个处理器其实是个第2代的，第2代跟第1代其实会差的速度至少会差15到20倍，15%到20%。然后我们先解释一下这个8核新的这个处理器，我们有4个处理器，1.7G。然后这些算是一个 performance 的一个 core， 然后我们有4个就是省电的一个核心。
So we're shipping Mi 4i with 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of flash initially here in Taiwan. So that's it for performance. A few more things I want to talk about. One is wireless. So as with all of our flagship devices going forward, Mi 4i ships with dual micro SIM and dual standby. We support 5 different modes and 16 bands, including the 2 FDD-LTE bands here, 3 and 7, as well as Wi-Fi 802.11ac. And on the system operating system side, Mi 4i ships with MIUI 6, as you'd expect. And it is our first device shipping on Android 5.0 Lollipop. So we're very excited about that. And I'm sure our Mi fans are as well. So this is a quick summary of certainly some of my favorite and most important features of Mi 4i, the unibody design, the large 3,120 milliamp hour battery, the 5-inch 1080p display, NTSC 95% and so on, sunlight display, 13.5 cameras, 2nd generation. Is that all that it takes to make a great phone? And for us at Xiaomi, definitely not. I want to talk to you about premium engineering. It took us about 18 months to build Mi 4i because we worked with every supplier from the very beginning to make sure that we had not only the best components that they had available 18 months ago,
所以这里主要想强调的就是，我们今天已经谈了很多功能，可是其实也想就是再强调，就是我们用的是最顶级的供应商。然后 Hugo 其实我们这个手机已经做了18个月的研发，就是 Hugo 刚加入小米的时候做的。
The processor on MISUI is from Qualcomm. The display is from Sharp and JDI. Memory and battery technology from Samsung. Camera and battery technology from Sony. Display glass from Corning, which we've talked about. And those are only a few of our suppliers. We have many, many more that we talk about. And we are not afraid of talking about them because we're really proud of ours.
然后我们屏幕也做得非常非常薄，然后电池也就非常大，所以我们里面其实也是做得非常非常细。然后这个就可以展开来，这个手机我觉得非常非常漂亮。
What do you guys think the price should be? Not quite. No guesses?
最主要想问的是大家觉得这个价钱应该多少？部分，比如说屏幕、电池，我们刚刚看到那个测试也是很严格。这有一点像，就是 Hugo 举一个例子，就是有点像你买了一辆车，然后那个车其实已经升级到最贵的那个价钱，已经有全部的那个部分，所以我们就觉得米3其实是一个旗舰机型。所以再问一下，就是觉得应该要多少钱
？Have I told you how light up 6, 4, 9, 10? Maybe we want another picture for this one.